This is the Eye for an Eye channel. Welcome to today's show. The CDC, our friends over at the CDC, the wonderful people at the CDC, are letting us know that they've expanded what is called disease surveillance for international travelers. Now, this again is another method they use to desensitize people, to prepare them to eventually do this to all travelers from every walk of life, from everywhere, wherever you go through the airport. Remember, they started this stuff with the TSA back in 2001 after they created an event in 2001 where they told you that people were hiding bombs in their shoes. So they kind of started telling you to take off your shoes and do all these annoying things at the airport. Well, it's only going to get more annoying. And remember, the video I did recently, if you didn't see it, I definitely recommend you check it out, about how they're making it more and more difficult to travel, and they also want to psychologically affect people as far as traveling goes. They want to make it so that you don't even want to travel anymore. And all of this stuff, if you look and read between the lines, ties into the carbon footprint as well, where people will not be allowed to travel X amount of miles every single year because of your carbon footprint and how it affects climate change. So total surveillance and total enslavement is the name of the game. And the CDC is going to do their part, as they always do, because now, as all this stuff is going on in the world, people become more desensitized. Remember, every single thing they need to become desensitized. So the more they do it, the more they meddle in your life, the more you end up eventually just going, oh yeah, that's normal. It's not really a big deal. That's why they do it this way. So they start by saying, well, we're going to do disease surveillance. So in other words, what's happening now is they start at specific airports, right? I always use the reference to the Satanic Temple and what they used to do with going around to certain cities and doing invocations. So they'd have certain cities where they do these town meetings and they stand up before everybody, ask questions about the school board, etc. And Satanists started invading these one by one by one. And it was a big deal when it first started. And now everyone's desensitized to it. And they're like, what's the big deal? They're just local Satanists, no big deal, right? They started revealing themselves all over the place. And people just go, oh yeah, they've been around forever now. Who cares, right? That's part of desensitizing. So it's the same with this. They've desensitized people, and they're starting to do it with this specific method by saying, well, it's going to be in the San Francisco airport, it's going to be at JFK, just a few airports around the country, and then it expands slowly, and they tell you it's voluntary at first, right? That's part of their method, right? It's voluntary. Nobody's asking what they're even doing surveillance on, because supposedly everything's supposed to be over. Well, now they want to do surveillance on people traveling with the flu and RSV. So they're telling you that when people get off the airplane, they're going to voluntarily ask people to do nasal swabs. And they will, of course, because a lot of people are suckers. They'll be like, oh yeah, I'll do the nasal. And the more you see this at airports, right, because it'll start at 4 airports, then it'll spread to 10 airports, then it'll spread to 20 airports, then it'll spread to 50, and then every airport will have it. Then they'll tell you it's still voluntary. And then all they do is they say, oh, there's an uptick in this, there's an uptick in that. Now it's mandatory. And everybody just shrug their shoulders, go, oh man, that's the worst. What? And they'll go along with it. Nobody will go, hey, who are these people? Right? Who is the CD? Who are these organizations and who gave them power? Who decided that they could censor YouTube videos? Who decided that they could censor free speech against their organization? Did we vote for them? No. Wait a minute. Why did all the political leaders give them power and sign treaties, etc., that give them power over the entire governance of the world? Oh, right, because they've picked these people and they've allowed these people to have power over us because it's in the name of science. It's in the name of health. So what they call this is biometric surveillance, and this is the future. So for the people that don't understand biometrics, I've done videos on biometrics. Eventually what this leads to with biometric surveillance is the digital ID, okay? Because they're going to make sure that, well, you know, we won't have to do the testing of these certain spots anymore. If everybody has a digital passport, then we could just track where you're going, where you're coming from, et cetera, et cetera. And I mean, we'll still do testing here and there, but, you know, right. Because they really care so much if you're coming in and out with a disease. That's why our border is completely unprotected here in America. Nobody seems to be down there saying, hey, maybe we should track diseases coming into the United States of America since we have a wide open border down here. Oh, right, no. It's about infringement on your rights, infringement on your privacy, all in the name of science, all in the name of your health. When these people couldn't care less about your health, if they did care about your health, then basic things would be free, basic problems that people have health-wise wouldn't be occurring because they wouldn't be poisoning our food and water and dumping soft metals on us from the sky and then telling us it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month and that we all need to be aware of breast cancer awareness. We're all aware of cancer. But the problem is that most people aren't aware of what it comes from and how it's being dumped on all of us because they're making us eat metals, right? You ever seen a soda can or have you ever gone to a factory and been like, wow, what is that over there? Oh, that's metal. They're making metal. Oh man, I'm getting hungry. Can I eat some of that? Can I get a bite? You got a little ketchup so I could eat some of the metal? Oh, well, we don't offer that. Oh, okay. Well, can you at least melt it down and put it in some of my food and spray it on me from the sky? Well, we can do that for you too. Yeah, sure. You want to do that? Yeah. Yeah. Because nobody would ever imagine that they would be putting soft metals in our food and thus causing cancer, then telling us, hey, it's Cancer Awareness Month. We need to be aware of cancer. We're all aware of it. Okay? Do we ever want to resolve it? Of course we don't want to resolve it because they're the ones doing it to us. They just want you like a zombie to run around in a wheel or like a mouse in a wheel. Just keep spinning your legs, spin, go in a circle, never get anything resolved and never figure out what's happening. So then, this is the world we're living in, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, this is the world we're living in. We literally have Cancer Awareness Months. It's like, when did the citizens go, hey, we're aware of cancer. We're aware of how you get cancer. Now we're rising up against you, the people who are giving people cancer. And you're giving people this and you're giving people that. And you're taking our rights away without asking us. And you're putting people in power without asking any of the civilians of the world. Maybe it's time. Maybe it's time for an uprising. No pun intended, right? So back to the story here. The CDC expanding its surveillance over travelers. And again, this will force more people to travel less, which is part of what they want to do. And this will also give them more power over you. And all of these types of things lead to a digital passport. People are like, what's the big deal? I already have a passport. What's the big deal if it's digital? Oh yeah? Your digital passport's going to it's going to track every single location that you go to, every single place, every single fart that comes out of your rear end. They're going to track and monitor. People still go, I don't really care. I don't know. I don't care. I don't know. Oh yeah, until you get stopped and told, well, you went to this place and so had a disease here, or you went here, but we had read on your Twitter account that you were questioning the government, so you're now under arrest. Right? It's giving power to people, to psychopaths. Would you like to give your power and your rights away to Ted Bundy? You'd probably be like, no, why would I ever do that? Well, okay, imagine this times 10, because these people are sicker and more psychotic, and they're the people who created the 10 Bundys of the world. Okay? They want your every movement, your every breath, your every queef, you name it, they want to track it and monitor it, okay? And that's what this is about. So the CDC is expanding its disease surveillance over international travelers, and I have to be careful because there's specific rules here, or you can't even mention the CDC, and I'm just mentioning them, saying what wonderful people they are, of course, because they're the best. So the CDC is expanding how it tracks disease among international travelers. Travelers returning to 4 major international airports now have the option to be tested for more than 30 pathogens, building upon a program that tracks the variants, according to the CDC, as of November 6th. Again, keep in mind, the term, voluntary, is not real. They say people have the option to be tested. Yeah, maybe at first. And I mean, if you want to look for somebody that you could stick a sucker sign on their back, if you want to look for a real moron, if you're at one of these airports, find the person who's voluntarily doing this, and maybe just go up to them, give them a Bible, and put a kick me sign on their back. I mean, could you imagine? They're like getting off the plane, they're like running up, like, hey, I'd like to do the voluntary testing. Now, of course, again, this is to desensitize people. The more people, whether they're voluntary to, they're giving their rights up to do this or not, and they're like, I'm just being a good person. The more people that see this around them, right? They see signs, voluntary testing, voluntary. Then they get desensitized, and eventually when they go, oh, it's no longer voluntary. Now you have to do this to travel. These people are just going to go, oh, all right, I guess it's not a big deal. I mean, it's been around for a while. And then suddenly everywhere you go, you're getting swabbed, you're getting this or that. It'll make people travel less. But again, this will lead to a digital passport. In your digital passport, everything will be tracked and monitored. Every place you go. And again, I've talked about this stuff, and I know people are like, well, that's a stretch. It's not. The stuff with the true crime shows, they promote all these true crime shows. And, people are into these shows like, whoa, wow, And it's always the same thing with the true crime shows. Oh, thankfully we had CCTV cameras. Thankfully for this. And I get it. When people see that, they're like, oh, that is a good thing because now we can track these killers. They're not on the streets anymore and they can't do it to other people. Yeah, understandable. Probably, it's good to track these people. But what they're really doing is preparing you for a surveillance state. and convincing you subconsciously, well, it's for our benefit. It'll be safer. It'll be safer. It'll be safer. Right? As they allow criminals to get out of jail, they're doing all this stuff at the same time. Allowing criminals to get out of jail. Then they're promoting all these crime shows, saying, "Oh, crime's running amok," making everyone afraid to go outside. And they're going, "But yeah, but we got these cameras. Yeah, we got these CCTV cameras. We could track them. We could solve the crime." Right? So then subconsciously, people are like, "Yeah, we need more of that. We need more of that." And then we all just continually give up our rights because of the things that they create and they do. And that's what this is also all about, is that, they start doing this stuff and everyone's like, "Oh, yeah, and they're like, "Yeah, well, the digital passport, not only will we be able to track, then you won't have to have this or that happen, and we don't have to worry about disease and how it's spreading because they've desensitized everybody with that contact tracing stuff." Right? And then people go, "Well, I guess it's a good idea. We could track what countries, if somebody's coming in, like the movie Outbreak, from another country and they have it, we could stop them." Right? And everyone's like, "Yeah, then we don't have to worry about this stuff anymore." And it has nothing to do with stopping a disease. It has everything to do with fully being able to track and monitor you. And eventually, of course, getting inside of your body in many different ways where they can literally read your thoughts, etc. Like they like to talk about when all our world leaders go and meet at Davos. They're like, "Yeah, we'd like to eventually be inside your mind and know what you're thinking." And everyone's like, "Oh, okay, that's not weird or strange. Yeah, let's let these psychopaths into our minds, our bodies, well, you name it. Let them in every hole, every crevice of your body. They want in, and that's not strange or weird." And then you could just look at them and know that they're sick and psychotic, and we're still okay with it, right? From Trudeau to all these guys, you just look at them and you get an unsettling feeling in your stomach. So they're talking about tracking the 30 pathogens. Eventually, it'll be 3,000. It'll probably be 666 pathogens. They say the expanded testing, which has just started, will continue for 3 months as a pilot program. There's no such thing with the government as pilot programs, okay? They started this with the outbreak. It's continuing to be normalized instead of removed. Have you noticed that? They're not removing these types of pilot programs. They're expanding on pilot programs. In other words, they're permanent programs. They're not taking them away. So, and again, it has nothing to do with tracking or monitoring anything. It has everything to do with tracking and monitoring you and your every movement. And again, remember, there's more of us than them, so they're hell-bent on tracking and monitoring civilians and everything they're doing because they're afraid that eventually the people will rise up against them. This is a way that they will have full control and surveillance over people, keep their power, keep their money as they enslave the rest of society, take away your food, your money, etc., and your way of life while they enhance theirs. So they want all these things in place because it's an enslavement system. So the expanded testing, which has just started, will continue for 3 months with the pilot program. The program will also screen wastewater from airplanes and airport terminals, adding population level data to information from voluntary nasal swabs. This program could catch potential health threats that might be the next outbreak, says Sam Scapriano, an epidemiologist at Northwestern University in Boston. The new data may also inform public health guidance during outbreaks of seasonal viruses like the flu. I mean, this is unbelievable. Oh yeah, let's track the flu. It's really, and they got everybody on the edge of their seat because everybody's now paranoid of, like, you see somebody cough out in public, everybody, you know what everyone's thinking. You just look at the people around you, right? You and I might not be thinking anything, be like, whatever, they got a cough, who cares? Everybody else is like covering up, they're walking away, they're panicking. This is what they've instilled in people in their minds. Now, by having people live like that, they could swoop in and go, well, we're going to have testing here. And everyone's like, oh, okay, good. I don't have to worry that. Oh, okay, good. And they're not thinking about their own rights. They're just like, oh, I don't want to get sick. I don't want to have a cough. Right? And then they go, oh, don't worry. We're here to help. Just let us continue to meddle in your life. Next thing you know, we'll have one of these biometric tests in your home. And you'll get up every morning and do a swab of graphene up your nose. And, we'll do all the biometrics and we'll add it to your passport every day before you leave the house. And everyone will be like, okay. I mean, it's normal now. These people are conspiracy theorists that think that this is crazy. Okay? They're doing it for us, for our benefit. Oh! And that's how their brains work, because they don't actually work. They don't know how to get into a conscious state of mind and actually freely think. Right? And they live in fear constantly because these people make them live in fear and be afraid of runny noses. The new AIDS is the runny nose and the cough. I mean, people literally are like, I'm telling you, I mean, you've seen it. You seen anybody out, like, cough or sneeze? You know everybody's thinking it the second someone, oh, they have it? Oh, my God. And they run in fear, and they're like, oh, my gosh. Not to mention the people we see out who still have masks on, which every time I see them, I just laugh and say something under my breath. I don't really say it so much under my breath. These people are on a different planet, so they're not even aware that people are around them, so they wouldn't even be able to hear it. So anyway, since the fall of 2021, The traveler-based surveillance program has tracked the global evolution of the outbreak, the virus responsible for the outbreak, through voluntary nasal swab PCR testing at international airports. In August, the program picked up one of the first known cases anywhere of the new variant in a traveler returning from Japan, all made up. More than 360,000 travelers, there's your 666, have participated in the testing as of September 2023. Airports participating in the expanded program include San Francisco International Airport, which became the first U.S. airport to screen its wastewater for the virus. They literally want to get into your poop now. Along with JFK, Logan International Airport in Boston, and Dulles International Airport outside of Washington, D.C. The PCR and waste water tests complement each other. Yeah, they do. They really do complement each other. The expanded program is a really smart way to look for new pathogens reaching the U.S. through international travel. And again, this is all about, restricting travel, controlling travel, monitoring civilians. Otherwise, why wouldn't they be at our borders, right, doing this type of stuff? They're freely letting people cross into our country. Wouldn't that be more dangerous, being that they're crossing through water and they're all gooky and, all this stuff, West Nile, mosquito, No? Right. It's about your new way of life to travel is going to be a digital ID. Okay. Well, it's not, it's going to be your new way of living and monitoring your every single movement, breath, you name it. And they're going to implement it. And it's going to start with reasons like this. They're going to do reasons and tests like this. And people are like, oh yeah, that's just the way it is now. Right? Because the more you get desensitized to it, the more they go, oh, it's a pilot program. Oh, it's a pilot program going on how long? Oh, 3 years? Okay, I would say it's no longer a pilot program. They're doing the same thing at the banks with the carbon footprint. They're like, oh, we're running a pilot program where we're monitoring people's carbon footprints. And people are just like, I don't know what that means, but it sounds like it's good for the environment. Yeah, it means that they're monitoring what you're spending on, right? So in other words, you go to the grocery store, then it shows up in your credit card. They also are going to break that down and see how much meat you bought, et cetera. All the things they don't want you to have and the way they don't want you to live because they want you to be unhealthy and controllable. So then they're going to say, oh, your carbon footprint was 1,000 points because of the grocery run. You're going to be like, wait, what? And they're going to go, yeah, now we're going to restrict your spending on your card because you went over the excess amount of food that you're allowed to buy because you got to outlive, we're going to ration you. You can only buy X amount of food and you certainly can't buy any meat. Nobody realizes any of this stuff. They're just, they virtue signal at these people. They're like, oh yeah, I'm being a good person. I'm being a good person. And they still will just refuse to believe that these people want control. But they couldn't show us and reveal themselves more as psychopaths who are obsessed with control. You look at these people, you could see in their soul how sick they are. I mean, is anyone looking at Klaus Schwab and they're like, he looks like a good, wonderful guy? Because anybody, and I don't care how lib you are you looking at him and you're going, he looks trustworthy. He doesn't look like a psychopath. He looks like my grandpa. Is anybody looking? No, everybody's looking going, whoa, this guy's sick. And the first thing you're thinking is, I wonder what this guy's doing in a dark room with kids, right? All of them. Biden, come on. Trump, any of them. How anyone looks at these people and are like, oh no, they really care about our, and then the stuff they spew out of their mouth, and it's just constantly about, oh yeah, we got to watch out for this outbreak, so we're gonna, make a digital passport. Oh yeah, by the way, we want to get inside your head so we know what you're thinking at all times. I covered that at Davos last year. They openly were like, yeah, we want to know what you're thinking, so we're gonna put this stuff in your head so we could listen and monitor and all that stuff. And people are like, oh okay, yeah, that sounds normal. No, it doesn't sound normal at all. It sounds pretty psychotic. So they start doing stuff like this. People are already desensitized. So people will hear this story and they'll be like, oh, it's a big deal. They've been doing swab tests and all that stuff for a while now. And they don't realize, oh, yeah, that's how it works. They desensitize you. They tell you it's a pilot program. It's your new way of life, right? And then it just continues to evolve. And we just continue to continually give them more control over us. They continue to take our rights away. They continue to force this crap on us. And then you go, who's doing it? And they're like, oh, the CDC. It's like, who voted for these people? Who gave them governance over everybody? Oh, well, they're needed because science. And that's all they say. And then everyone goes, yeah, it's needed because of science. All right. You ever think that they use that as these are the same people that tell us that men can have babies. So clearly they don't know much about science. Huh? Right? The most common science that there is. Chromosomes, man and a woman. Yeah, they don't believe in that. So then we still give them governance over us because of science? Yeah, no, I don't think so. This is the world we're living in, folks. Be aware of these things. I thank everybody for being here. I hope you're all doing well. God bless you as always and your families.